to join our Telegram channel, please use this QR code to join our channel. I am Jocasta and I'll be your host for today. Okay. So today we'll be beginning with the first segment of our coaching conference, where David Jensen, the head coach of the Swiss national team, will be sharing with you more about his mantra, "My team wins because it is the best team." But before we begin, we would like to show you a video from our partner, Singapore Tourism Board. Subsequently, we'll be streaming a recorded interview that I had with David, where he delves deeper into his personal life and his coaching philosophy. And right after that, David will jump in and begin his coaching conference. As for questions, if you guys have any, please send them to the main chat, or if you are shy, you can send them into question bot at any point in time. So you can privately send in so that no one can see who you are. Yeah. But if you guys are okay, then you can just send them to the main chat. So without further ado, we'll start the videos. Hi David, it's so nice to have you here and to be part of our 2020 virtual SG Floorball Open.
Likewise, it's going to be a blast for me as well, so thank you very much.
Okay. Can you please share with our viewers more about your floorball background and experience both as a player and a coach?
So as a player, I started playing the highest Swedish league, which is now called the Swedish Super League, and at the time was called Elitserien, when I was 17, and I played for 8 years for Jönköpings IK and Pixbo Wallenstam and IBF Älvstranden. And after that, I started coaching, and I've been coaching Floorball Könitz in Switzerland, Pixbo Wallenstam in the Swedish Super League for 4 years, and since 2015, I'm the head coach of the Swiss men's team.
I see. That's a very, very long tenure you have in floorball.
It is, yeah. I've been somehow part of top floorball since 1997, every single year. So it makes me feel old, but it's a great thing for sure.
Sounds good. We're so very thankful to have you here with us.
Thank you.
I understand that you're a food lover. So what are some of your favorite foods?
I am a food lover, and maybe that's also a sign that I'm getting old somehow. I love Swedish food. I'm really into Italian food, and lately I've been trying to cook more and more Asian, especially Thai and Indian cuisine. So yeah, I am a foodie somehow, at some kind of perfect hipster level. So I guess I'm not too into it, but I do like it, yeah.
Okay, I think you'll love Singapore food because we have so many options.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing every time I've been, just for the mixture of all cultures and everything. So the food is always a highlight in Singapore for sure.
Okay, that's great to hear. So it seems that you have an amazing floorball family, and I was told that your partner Lynn also played floorball in Sweden for the national team and won 3 World Cup gold medals. So how do you guys meet, and can you tell me more about her?
Yeah, she was really good actually. She still is pretty good. She plays in the second highest league here still with her friends in Umeå in North Sweden where we live. Yeah, she managed to win 3 world floorball championship gold medals. So that's a huge thing. She contributed to the last one the most. Yeah, she found a way somehow to work out hard and be a team player, and at the same time use her individual skills. So she's good, and I was decent, and still our little guy who's 2.5 years old beats us every time while playing here at home, which is a really, really weird thing, but that's how it works with small kids. So.
Yeah, definitely. So your little kid has already started playing floorball at such a young age?
He has, but actually we won't force him into anything, and he has a stick because he got a stick from a friend of mine who's called Kalle Bremberg, who works at Zone, who I think you've been talking to earlier.
Yeah.
And it's standing here somewhere in the corner, but he actually thinks that there are other things that are more interesting at the time, like big machines and snow. So we'll see what happens to him eventually, but we try to play with him now and then. Yeah.
Okay, that's gonna be fun to watch. So
it's gonna be interesting for sure.
So you're currently the head coach for Switzerland, but unfortunately you guys lost to the Swedes in the semi-final for the last World Cup on penalty shots.
Semi-final Saturday here at the O2 Arena in Prague. The Men's World Floorball Championships of 2018 as Sweden, the 8-time world champions, take on Switzerland for a place in the final and the right to meet Finland. Just the one. But David Jansson has masterminded this whole process, the Swedish-born head coach of Switzerland. There's no margin for error today. Everything has to be just so. Come in maybe not too long an amount of time either. Headland blocked, good strong defence. Hofbauer carries it away. Saug off the bar. Did that go in? It did. Yes. Restart. Not from an entirely dissimilar position. They scored a golden free hit goal courtesy of Tim Breyer, and they've got one now.
The best game so far. I think we need another goal, of course, from Switzerland to see a 3-all, and
might have it here. Mendelin, the level to keep Swiss hopes alive. Rasmus Enström. Five goals Enström has scored in normal play in these World Championships. This to put Sweden into the final. And he does so! The final score, Sweden 5, Switzerland 4 by virtue of a penalty competition after a 4-all draw in regulation time. But y'all went on to beat the Czechs in the 3rd and 4th placing game. Gone by, and he watched it and he thought, I'm gonna do this one day, I'm gonna be there one day, and now he's captaining the national team in a bronze medal game.
I have had the same feeling. I was a volunteer in
it's going to be put in here.
Yes.
And it's been put in by the number 77, Denny Kanzig. And the challengers, Sweden, but the most successful nation in terms of World Championship titles. It is a mouth-watering prospect. But still plenty to play here, and the Swiss double their advantage. Tapped in. So how would you summarize these two games?
Well, it was an amazing experience in so many ways. The Czechs are really good floorball fans, so it's really loud, and playing in front of like 14,000 people doesn't happen every day, and we performed really well in that semifinal game against the Swedes. Took it to overtime, which is almost a coin toss. And looking at the teams on paper, it would be easy to say that our guys performed better than they did. So in terms of that, it was a great game. Of course, a big disappointment to lose the game. And then only hours later, it felt like, because our game was pretty late against the Swedes, and then we had an early game the day after, away against the Czechs. So it felt like a really tough challenge, and I don't know how the guys mentally made it, but we managed to beat the Czechs after losing to them in the group stage. So it's a nice little silver lining to that tournament. So it was huge for Swiss floorball for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always like a very huge competition between Finland and Sweden, and like I think it's really great that you guys made it so far.
Thank you very much. We feel that too. We feel that we will make international floorball a little bit more interesting now that it's not a given thing that they will meet every time, and so yeah, it was a big step for us for sure.
Yes. So can I ask you, what is your goal for next year's World Cup, if it happens?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we rarely talk about goals in terms of what result we want to do, but I mean, we know now that if we perform at our highest level, we will be a really good team, and we're a top 4 team in the world. So it would be really weird for me to talk about anything else than actually wanting to win it. I think if you wouldn't do that and you'd be a top 4 team, that would be a weird thing to do. So we're for sure in it to win it, but we know that we need to be on top of our game, and 3 games in a row, like a quarterfinal, a semifinal, and a finals, to be able to do it. And but we're aiming for nothing less than that. We want to win it.
Yes, definitely. I hope you guys do well. I think it'll be very interesting to watch. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is the first time we are hosting the 2020 virtual SG Open, obviously because of the pandemic and there are many constraints in place. So what will participants be expecting from your coaching conference?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, the situation with the pandemic and everything also opens doors for people to have more time to do stuff. So I think this is going to be actually great if you do something good about it. So I'm going to give people a little bit of a sneak peek into what I do as a coach. So we'll be looking at my philosophy and my vision and what I want to do. And I'm not that big, raw, angry type of authoritative coach. I have more of the normal guy image. So I hope that a lot of people can look at what I do and go, I could do that too. That's kind of the biggest thing for me. We'll be looking at defensive systems, how you can defend in floorball, which is a pretty dynamic thing if you compare to other sports. Like you can go full court pressing with a zonal system, or you can stand back and play more man-man defense. And there are so many different ways you can do it. And on offense, we'll be looking a little bit at functional technique, decision making, and we'll also be covering special teams. But we will just do a sneak peek because the goal is when I come down to Singapore that we will do the deep dive version then. So we'll be scraping the surface, and then we'll go into it a little bit more deeper when I'm there.
Okay, I think we're all looking forward to that.
Thank you. I am as well. I'm actually really excited about it.
Okay, so you've been down to Singapore before. So what are your general thoughts and opinions about our country and about the floorball scene in Singapore and in Asia in general?
I really like it. To me, it feels like the Asian version of Switzerland a little bit. So the connection is somehow already there. Nice people, interesting culture, history, well-working country, well-run country, and so much to see. And in terms of floorball, I've always been amazed that the floorball scene is so big. And I know the national team can, like, because of the fact that the country is so small, they can practice so much. And it actually surprises me a little bit that Singapore isn't better as a floorball nation in terms of results on the international scene, because there's so many people playing floorball and the structure is there to be really good. So it always makes me a little bit pumped to go to Singapore for that reason.
So if you could pick one place in Singapore, what is it that you have found most interesting?
So I guess the mainstream answer would be like Marina Bay Sands and everything, and the huge architecture, which I do enjoy and think is amazing. But I was thinking a little bit about this, and I'd go for the hawker centers, and especially the hawker centers that are a little bit further away from the city center. So I enjoy just walking around, being able to eat and test out some cheap dishes and trying stuff out. And Singapore, like I mentioned earlier, being such a mixture of cultures, it also shows on my plate when I walk around in these hawker centers, and I think that's really a huge part for me. I also love Little India. I've had so much amazing Indian food there, and
so I think we underestimated the amount of food that we ordered here. But they served us a couple of UFOs with stuff. I recognize this is butter chicken. This is some kind of mutton. This is a rice with more colors than I've ever seen in a rice. So it's looking like a good evening.
Actually, the best I ever had, except for what I cook myself, of course, which is crème de la crème. But yeah, I would say hawker center.
That's great. I think it's quite rare that overseas you get to find like such a great variety of food in one place, because normally it's just you go to different restaurants and cafes and you get but in Singapore you actually have a very wide array of food at the hawker centers, which is
That's exactly how it is, yeah. And it's something I think you have to, as a tourist coming to Singapore, you have to make an effort to do that instead of going to, like you said, a niche restaurant somewhere. So I've been happy that I've had so good guides, local guides that have shown us around. So now I can do it myself.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so for the end of this interview, I just want to ask what you will be doing for the second part of the coaching conference that will be happening in Singapore live during the SG Open next year, if the pandemic allows it. So what
Exactly.
can the participants expect?
Yeah, exactly. So the lectures that will be 17th to 20th of December now, 2020, they will work as some kind of sneak peek. And then, like I said, I hopefully be live down in Singapore during the summer. And what I want to do then is to dive deeper, like I said. But what does it mean to dive deeper? Well, to me, it's about being on court as well. So taking coaches from the theoretical stuff and then get them onto the court is a big thing, because you realize how stuff works when you actually do drills or you actually do tactical exercises and stuff like that on court. So it's always a good thing, I think, walking from a classroom to the court. So that will be a main component of it. When talking about the defense system, trying out the defense system, coming back and looking at what we actually did. And nowadays with video, it's so easy to videotape stuff and then look at it and try to make contributions to the coaches so that they can walk away from there more well educated. So that's of course stuff that needs me being physically in Singapore. So I think this works out really well, like a sneak peek first, and then we deep dive once I'm in Singapore.
I think we're all looking forward to you coming down and sharing your insight with us. I think that'd be very, very valuable.
Thank you very much. I hope so as well. I'm very happy when I have a chance to give something back to this great sport. Likewise, it's going to be a pleasure for me as well.
Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure that our viewers have learned more about you. And we hope to see you in the 2020 Virtual SG Open.
Thank you very much. Likewise. Have a good day.
Have a great day. So now David will be taking over and he'll be going through the first segment of the coaching conference.
Exactly. Thank you very much for taking your time, guys. This is going to be so much fun. Obviously, that interview served as a great introduction, so I don't need to take it again how it's going to work, which is great. So I'm going to jump right into my presentation here to guide you through the first part of my lectures. So this is about my coaching philosophy, and I'm going to explain the headline, "My team wins because it is the best team," a little bit more later. So let's start with the presentation here. Who is David Johnson? Well, we've run through it. I don't think I need to mention this too much. I have degrees in journalism and in sports coaching, and the line down at the end there that I have a situational approach to coaching is something I think that you will notice during this presentation. So my lectures today, it's going to be about the coaching philosophy. Tomorrow it's eye test versus advanced stats. Saturday is about defense systems, and Sunday is about functional technique and decision making, meaning with ball stuff. So if we compare what we're going to do here in the sneak peek and what I would do if the world works out the way we want it to and it works with my schedule and I can get down to Singapore in the summer. So here I'll be giving you a sneak peek of my coaching philosophy, and I'll try to inspire you to work on your own philosophy. Like I said during the interview, I'm a normal guy. There's nothing special about me in terms of being the chosen one or whatever. I'm just a normal guy who invests a lot of time in my sport and in my craft. And if I get down to you guys in Singapore, I'll deep dive into all of these areas that I barely touch on today. And it would be me conducting practices as well, just showing how this philosophy works on court. Because like I said in the interview, I think it's very important to do stuff on court, even with coaches. And we'll be breaking down tape of the Swiss national team. How does my philosophy actually translate to the court? Because now I've been with them since 2015, so I've had a lot of time, which is great in terms of being able to show my philosophy on court. So also very important, I think, today is for you guys to have the approach that what I talk about is something that you can use on your own. Coaching for me, actually, the word coach comes from Great Britain and is a bus that takes something from point A to point B, and that's coaching for me. It could be taking one player or taking a team or using it in business or whatever. And there are not always clear answers to stuff. And I think that's important for you guys. This is not mathematics. It's not going to be a right or a wrong answer. So remember to dare to go your own way. That's what I did. I started very young and I made my own way through. So remember that and keep that in focus while I speak here. Good. So I want to introduce you a little bit to the floorball top world because it's easier for you to understand my coaching philosophy once you know where we're at with Switzerland. So I started out in 2015. And the first thing that I wanted to do was the World Championships in Riga 2016. And my goal was to make people think that it could happen for us, that we could be able to win games. When I took over, the Swiss got crushed by Sweden in the semifinals in the World Championship in Gothenburg 2014. I think they were 6-0 down after 15 minutes or something in that game. And I figured that the first step needs to be that people think that we can do it. So we need to think that internally, and we need to be so we need to have so much confidence in ourselves that others will also try to think that we can make it happen. And we ended up third in Riga. And then for the next World Championships, which was the one that you saw from Prague 2018, the goal for me was to make people think that it's getting realistic that we can do it. Not only that it's a fluke or we need a complete jackpot to make it happen. So I wanted people to think that it's slowly getting realistic for us to beat the big teams. And obviously the results showed that. We took it to penalty shootout against the Swedes, and then we beat the Czechs in the Czech Republic for the bronze medal game. So we're for sure on track. And the big thing for me is to go up to step 3, which is Switzerland being a dynasty, winning several World Championships in a row. And I need this kind of stuff to motivate myself. That's probably not extremely realistic, but it's something that drives me and that I need when I wake up to a new working day. And looking at like the comparisons, so here I try to show you a little bit graphically the chances for the teams to win gold or to actually get no medal during a World Championships. In 2014, it was almost all about the Swedes and the Finns. When it came down to 2016, the gap had closed a little bit. And my feelings for Prague was that actually all 4 top nations could have had the gold medal, and all 4 could have been without a medal, even though it's less probable with the Swedes and the Finns. But the gap is for sure closing, which is great for me and is something that I of course take a lot of pride in. So that's like how it works and how it looks where I'm working. Now I want to get into myself a little bit, my vision, my coaching philosophy, and how it connects to the tactical systems and the trainings. So there's a very interesting thing. So when I run coaching classes in Sweden or in Switzerland, sometimes I start off by asking, so what's your coaching philosophy? And I talk to everyone who's attending the class. And I'm not kidding you when I say that if I ask that question, what's your coaching philosophy? Maybe 90% of the answers will be with numbers, and it will be connected to a defensive system. So people will say, my coaching philosophy is 2-1-2, or it's man-man, or it's 2-2-1, or whatever, which is a defense system, not a coaching philosophy. And this happens so much because we teach what we know, and looking at the court and trying to copy paste the defense system, that's not so hard. I mean, almost everyone can do that. And then you identify that to your coaching philosophy, which is such a bad start if you want to go coaching. So I'll try to show you how I think you should think and how these things connect and why the defense system is such a small thing of the big picture. So I start with a vision. And a vision to me is a dream scenario. It doesn't have to be realistic at all. It can be where you can just fly off and just think, and yeah, that's why it's called a vision. So it doesn't have to be realistic, but it's something that should drive you in your work. And below that is your coaching philosophy. These are the big picture ideas about my team. It doesn't necessarily say exactly what systems you're going to play, but it's like your big picture game philosophy about how to coach and play your team. And these things up there, they're not team specific. So the vision and the coaching philosophy, I will bring that with me regardless of what team I'm coaching. But below the dotted line, those are the team specific things. These are the tactic systems you want to run for defense and offense. It's how you run your trainings. That is something that would differ a lot for me. So if I'd coach a Singaporean team, I would do that differently than with the Swiss national team. And before I was in the Swiss national team, I was coaching Pixbo in the Swedish Super League. And it also differs a lot in terms of how I approach that in comparison to the Swiss national team. So this is important to understand. So the defense tactic part of it it's such a small thing, right? It's way down there. So it's this little thing down here in comparison to the big picture. So think about that. I think that's a pretty important thing once you start thinking about coaching philosophies. Good. What is my vision? So my vision is, and remember, this doesn't necessarily have to be realistic. My team wins because it is the best team and not because the others were unlucky. This is people who understand the international floorball scene know that the Swedes and the Finns, most probably another 10, 15 years, depending on how we work, they'll probably on paper be the best team. But the vision for me is to develop my team to become the best team. So if we beat the Swedes or the Finns, or if we manage to win a world championship once, I want us to do it because we were the best team, or we played like the best team, or we performed like the best team, not because the others were unlucky. I don't want to give them the initiative and just cross my fingers and hope that they will be bad. I couldn't get enough energy from work to do that. So my team wins because it's the best team. That's my vision. It's not realistic, but it drives me. And the vision of my federation where I work is that floorball is going to be an Olympic sport for 2028, which I think is already not possible anymore, and that Switzerland would win the first gold medal. That's the way we've approached it from a federation standpoint, and not necessarily realistic either, but something that drives us. And I think that is very important for you guys as well, regardless of what level you are at, regardless of how old the team is that you're coaching. Start with a vision, because it's going to make it so much more fun for you, and the big picture thing is going to be much more satisfying for you. I can promise you that. What is my coaching philosophy then? So it has with my vision to do. You'll see that here. I hope that these are things. So when I'm trying to make my team the best team. So a very important thing for me, coach-wise, is to give the team a chance to win, which to me translates to give the team a chance to have fun, because winning is fun. And this could be reacting in time. So if I feel that a line on my team is not performing, well, I'll go down and play only 2 lines and shorten my bench and play the hot 2 lines harder after 30, 35 minutes of a game. Or I'll pull the goalie even if we're 4 goals behind in the end, just to give the team a chance. Because floorball is such a dynamic sport. So if you score 1 goal in the end and there are 4 minutes left and you score 1 goal to reduce their lead to 3 goals, the momentum swing can affect so much. You've seen crazy turnarounds in floorball, and this is a big thing for me. So it annoys me when I see teams or coaches not giving their team a chance to win. So that's a huge thing for me. Another big thing for me is that offense to me is way more important than defense. So I would say that I use maybe 80% of my practice time practicing offense. It's more fun, but it's also better. The thing is that you'll hear people saying, you'll come back to your parents or to your friends after your team has lost 11-4, and they'll go, "Oh, your defense must have been bad." And I can guarantee you, not often was the defense bad, but very often you probably lost the ball in areas of the court where you shouldn't lose the ball. And like 60% of the goals in top floorball are counterattack goals. So if you practice offense, you also practice how to handle the ball, decision making and stuff like this, which is indirectly going to be defense in terms of how we think about defense. So I think this is a thing that people do wrong a lot of the time, doing the other way around and work in defense all the time. Everyone can defend. Everyone can counterattack. The big difference is going to be what you do with the ball. That's my belief. Playing without unnecessary respect. So I want players who love to play their best against the best. That is actually a big thing for me. I think that's going to be a very big part if we want to win something with the Swiss national team. If we don't, it will be a tough time for us. So this is I don't mean this in terms of I want players to play overly physical or that kind of respect. We want the sportsmanship to be there. But from a tactical standpoint, we can't run around idolizing the others. So that's a big thing for me as well. We also want to steer games tactically. So we need our opponents reacting to us. And this is regardless of if we're the better team or not on paper. So I would personally never stand back, play a passive defense system, for an example, because that doesn't steer the game for me. So that is also a big thing in terms of how I want to coach my team. Now I have two things here that I want to talk about at the same time. So this has with transition situations to do when we're winning the ball and when we're losing the ball. So if we win the ball, very important for me is that our first thought is going forward. And if we lose the ball, our first thought should be to counter press, to get the ball back. These are two very offensive thoughts, but it's very good for the team to have this because it makes the transition situations way more exciting for us. When we play defense, we think about how we counterattack. And when we play offense, we know that if we lose the ball, we'll just win it back again. And if you think like that, it will also be more okay to shoot the ball and more okay to have fun on court. And the players must also feel that they're given a chance to improve mentally, athletically, and tactically. And all of these things, they're not team specific. These are things I would bring with me regardless of what team I'm coaching. And this is just to show you how much a coaching philosophy actually means and how much you can actually start forming this regardless of what team you're coaching. I'm actually going to stop my screen share and then share my screen again here because I think I forgot to optimize my screen sharing for showing a video that I'm going to do later. So I'm just going to stop the share here and then go back to sharing my screen again for you guys. Like that. And we're back. That's great. And the next one. So I've also studied a little bit of sports psychology and how that influences my coaching. I speak a lot about something that I call the emotional elevator. So if these are your emotions during a game, I try to stay away from the uppermost 5-10% on the scale, and I try to stay away from the bottom 20-25%. So that means that when things are not going well for us, I still want our guys to be emotionally not too affected from what's happening. And the other way around also, if we're doing very well results-wise, we're scoring goals, I still want our guys to be on some kind of sane level where we can think floorball and act like we have the same playbook, we work with the same things, because I think that's very important, especially when you play in front of 13,000-14,000 fans. And we always talk about this being the solution being Swiss floorball. So how we play, how we've identified how we want to work, that's the same thing, regardless if we're 3-0 down to the Finns or if we're leading 5-0 against the Swedes. Of course, there are tactical difference within this playbook in terms of how when we lead and when we are not leading, but it's not that big, and it's psychologically it shouldn't differ too much. This is such a momentum sport, so if you can have that covered and you know how to work with this, that's a huge step for you when playing this game. So I mentioned in the interview that I'm a nice guy, and I think I am a nice guy. I'm not the typical authoritative, rough, tough guy. I earn my respect by being a good human being. Knowing floorball, I would say without exaggerating that I think I'm probably the person in the world who has seen the most floorball in the last 20 years. And I take a lot of pride in that. But what I always tell my players is don't mistake our kindness for weakness. So the way I'm working with this nice guy attitude is I don't try to change myself. I don't try to become a monster or become a tough guy. That wouldn't work for me. I can't fake my personality. So what I do is I try to be honest with people. I'm being honest with all of my feedbacks. And because of the fact that I'm a pretty nice guy, I can get away with murder. So I can tell stuff how it is floorball wise, but still be a very nice human being. And that's the only way it works for me. I couldn't sleep otherwise, and I would have been a bad coach if I hadn't figured this out. Like in the beginning, I was way too nice in terms of feedbacks, or I thought I was nice. I was giving too kind feedbacks, or I was painting a pink clown when I should be telling someone who it is, the way it is, and ended up with me getting into tricky situations with players where I had promised them stuff that I later on couldn't fulfill for them. And instead, I figured out that the nice thing to do feedback-wise is actually to just tell people how it is. If you tell people how it is and you use a good tone with your voice, it's going to work out long time for you. So this is something that's been huge in my coaching. Figuring out that I shouldn't fake my personality. I should just be more honest with people, and in terms of nice, actually being nicer to them by telling them how it is instead of making up fake stuff that long term wouldn't work. So this has been a huge thing for me with my personality in my coaching career. This is a way that me and my coaching staff works with our players, where I want to show you a little bit that it doesn't need to be the rough and tumble, being the screaming guy who's just running people through the floor in terms of negative feedback. So we had a situation once with our national team where our full court pressing was not good for a couple of games in a row. And me and my assistant coach, Esa Jussila, Finn, we talked about how we wanted to present this to our team, because we felt that it didn't work very well for us, but there were only some small adjustments that we needed to do. And we didn't want the players to sit at home and think about this not good phase of pressure for a couple of months until we would meet to get some new games. So we figured out that we needed to give some kind of feedback through a video feedback to our guys. And this is a true story. This is the WhatsApp chat that happened between me and Esa. So Esa writes me, I think the Swedes have figured out the pressing, we're fucked. And I go back to him, what, really? Well, I felt we did activate pressure with bad timing at times, but just have a look at this, he says. And then he sends me a clip. I download it and I go back to him, well, yeah, if they can do that on a regular basis, it will be tough for sure. And this is exactly what I presented to the guys. And then we showed this video. We're in white and we're putting our full court pressure against the Swedes, and count the number of Swedes here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the big question mark. So we presented this to the guys and said, so we have the solution now. The Swedes were playing 6 guys. How are we ever going to be able to use the pressing system if they play with 6 guys? And that was just a way for us to like de-dramatize the part of the fact that we didn't have success with the pressing, and with this kind of a more of a easy approach to it, we gave ourselves some time to figure out what changes we wanted to do to the pressing. And the next time, a couple of months later, when we worked the pressing thing again, guys came in with an open attitude and weren't too let down about the fact that it didn't work for us. And it gave us some time to work on the things we needed to work on, and the belief was still there when we came back to using the pressing again later. Good. Approaching the end here, I wanted to mention a little bit about setting goals. And to me, when it comes to goals, I think performance goals are way more important than outcome goals. So we rarely, like I mentioned in the interview, we rarely talk about results. And I'll show you why we don't talk about results. So if this is how the power balance between Switzerland and Sweden is or was when I took over, and this is the way it is right now. So let's just pretend I'm gonna draw here so you understand what I mean. So if this is our maximum level, and this is the Swedish maximum level, we could draw dead against the Swedes. So if they have a great game and they're up here, there's no realistic chance for us to catch them. But if we have a really good day and we can manage that they are not very good in their span of performance, we can actually beat them now. And that wasn't the fact earlier. And this is also why I try to be a little bit conservative with result goals, because we could make it to a World Championship finals against the Swedes. We could have the game of our lives being somewhere up here, and they could have a really good game as well, and we could lose. Does that mean that we should be disappointed with what we did? Well, results-wise, yes, but from a performance standpoint, no. And this is why I think performance goals outweighs outcome goals. So what I'm interested in is getting my team up here. That's what I want to do. That's what I can do something about as well. So this is how I think about it. Can I control what they do? No. Can I control what I do? Yes. So performance goals is something that is big for me. When we pick our roster, this is just German, but it's our scouting, like a paper that we use for scouting. The most important thing, we love to select players who overestimate themselves. Swiss guys are so humble and so nice people that we need people who think they are something. We need people who think they're really good. And we've figured out that these guys are the ones who can stand the pressure with playing in front of 14, 15,000 people as well. So we really like to select players who overestimate themselves a little bit. In terms of defensive structure, just shortly how it works for us. So on the left here, you see us having a basic system. That's a system that we want every player to learn. And then we also have one system to slow down a game if we need to. And we have one system to increase the intensity and the pace of the game if we need to. So that's a little bit how my coaching philosophy works with that. I start with something and then we have different stuff so we can react during games. We will talk a lot more about defense systems coming up, but I wanted to introduce you just shortly to how I think about that. And the last thing I'm going to talk about for today is about feedback. And in Switzerland, there's this weird thing. So when you're driving around with your car, you will in Switzerland more often than not see signs saying how fast you're not allowed to travel. And at times you will get the sign saying this is the limit you're allowed to travel. And this is so typical for Switzerland and I hate it. So my feedbacks are all about being on the left side. It's all about this is what we want you to do. And it's nothing about this is what we don't want you to do. We talk about what we want to see from our players. We don't talk about what we not want to see from our players. That's a huge thing for me. And I try to keep this ratio being a 5-2 ratio for positive, negative feedback to influence people to do what we want them to do. And we use a video tool called Dartfish, where I can do tags for players or for stuff that happens during games. And then we get back with individual feedbacks to our players. So this is the folder of Nicola Bischofberger. So he's got 3 videos in there from me for his personal performance, and they look like this. So I'll be drawing on video sequences. I'll talk to him here. I in the real video, I'll talk German to him here, and I'll talk about how he needs to use his vision to see that the Finns are going down to block the shot so that he can open up lanes for others, blah, blah, blah. So that is a way for me to work with feedback and make sure that our players get a chance to understand how I want them to play. So that was the little sneak peek. And as you probably have understood, there's a lot of deep diving going into this coaching philosophy that we can do if we manage to get me down to Singapore Live in the summer. I just wanted to show you a little bit how I work, how I think, big picture wise. And like you see, this is not stuff that no one else could do. This is normal stuff. Should be pretty easy to understand, I hope, and hopefully something that can inspire you guys. So if you have some questions, you can write them in the main chat, or you can write it to the question bot if you want to stay anonymous. Or if you have something later, just go to davidjansson@swissunihockey.ch and give me your questions via email later on. So feel free to shoot your questions.
Okay, hi David. So throughout you speaking, we've received a few questions. So the first question is, what is the difference between coaching a club and a national team, considering the difference in standards?
That's a great question. So one big difference is, of course, that if you have a club team, you will be on court with them 4 to 5 times a week. So when I coach a national team, there's a lot of more video feedbacking, like you saw there in the end, for an example, trying to stay in touch with the players and also respecting that they play for their club teams where they have their own coaches. So I don't try to do too much team tactics with them, but I do help them with individual stuff. Like right now, the league is paused for COVID reasons down in Switzerland. So a lot of our players are in Sweden. So they seek help from me and I try to give them individual feedback. In terms of Skill level, well, actually, if I compare Pixbo to the Swiss national team, meaning the two last stuff I've done in my career, actually, I would say the quality maybe on paper was actually better in Pixbo. But generally, of course, a national team will be better. And now that we've worked with our guys for a lot of times, I think we've exceeded the level that we were at in Pixbo. But the skill level doesn't necessarily have to be that big of a difference, depending on what teams you coach. But the main thing that's going to be different is the players that are coming to a national team are all stars in their setups, in their own clubs. So they will have other expectations. But at the same time, I also think it's in a way easier to pick a national team roster because you choose from the best of the best. So I guess it's not all the time the hardest thing in the world for someone to not get picked because they know how good the others are.
Okay, thank you. For the next question, someone asked, for video analysis, what is your mindset in breaking down gameplay, or what do you focus on more? How would you teach a player to do his own analysis?
That is a great question. So having a player doing his own analysis is a huge thing. And we're actually working with that now. So when I do these individual feedbacks with the guys that are in Sweden right now, I always let them look at their own shifts first. That's the first thing I do. I video edit their shifts and I send it to them and they get to look at that. And then they need to get back to me with like 5 to 10 sequences during a game that they think are really interesting for what they want to develop or the skills they want to develop. And they have to like review their own game before I step in and give them my thoughts. And that's to get them out of just consuming. So generally having them not just only consuming, but having them being active is a great thing. And what I look at patterns. I try to not to analyze one situation too much. I always think about, so if this would happen 100 times, how would it look? And I try to find patterns in how people play so that we don't overanalyze one single question where something weird happens on court. And I try to focus on decision making a lot. Of course, technique's also going to be a thing, but me as a national team coach, I can't help them out too much with technical stuff. They need to make sure that in their time with their club teams, or actually maybe a lot of the time when they were growing up. So, but I focus a lot on decision making, and I think I've progressed a lot in that. We have a good common language with my guys, so we can talk about decision making. And we have a system for decision making that I will talk about on Sunday, I think. So yeah, that's how I focus on it.
Okay, so for our next question, Ogolia from Kenya has asked, what do you consider as a coach to choose player positions?
This is a great question. I have a little bit of a upside down thinking here than a lot of others. So if we look at it from a defensive standpoint, the name defender, I just hate the name. I try to take every way around the name of the position, which is called defender, because I think, and I will talk about this more during the defensive system breakdowns later on Saturday. But I think the most important defenders are the forwards, because they're the first wave of defense, and they will, if they do their work the way they should, it's going to get easier for the other people further back on the court to do their job. So I think a lot about like endurance and speed and stuff like this for the forwards. And when it comes to the ones we like to call defenders in this world, I think more about their offensive capabilities, actually, their passing game, their way to read the game, their composure, how calm they can be with the ball. So I would say it's a little bit upside down for me in that term. So great question, and make sure to find your own way how to think about this. But that would be my input to that question.
Okay, I think we have to cut off the questions, but we have one last question, which is, what is your coaching setup in the Swiss national team? Like, beside your assistant and you, how many other staff do you have, and are they full-time staff?
I'm the only one who's full-time staff. I have 2 assistant coaches. I have one guy helping out with advanced statistics. We have 2 physios, but only one there at a time. And I have a team manager who helps out like logistical stuff and planning the camps and taking care of the paperwork during World Championships, for an example.
Okay, I think with that, we can end off our coaching conference session for day one with David. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay, so David will be here again, same time at 5 p.m. tomorrow. And if you guys have any more questions that were unanswered today, please send them to our question board and we'll take them down and then we'll continue with the question and answer tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Okay, so right now, before jumping into Coach's Corner on the topic of power play, helped by our very own Philip Dahlgren, we'll be playing a little game where you stand to win some prizes. So in partnership with Singapore Tourism Board, we are hosting this segment called Iconic Singapore, where we'll be showcasing some attractions around Singapore, and we do this in the form of a short video. Subsequently, we'll be asking you a trivia question which you can answer. I will give you guys the giveaway details in a while. So now we'll play the video.
Hi everyone!
I'm Jokester.
I'm Xuan. I'm Rachel, and we are from IBK Dolan Moose Albatross.
Gardens by the Bay was built as a part of the strategy of turning Singapore from a garden city to the city in a garden. A fun fact is that the beautiful, futuristic super tree architecture inspired Marvel movie creators in the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. The main attractions are the Flower Dome and the Cloud Forest. The Flower Dome is a dry conservatory which replicates the Mediterranean climate, while the Cloud Forest replicates a cool climate from high up in the mountains. These domes support rare plant species that otherwise cannot thrive in Singapore. Thank you so much for watching, and see you guys at our next destination. Bye! Okay, so now that you guys have watched this video about Gardens by the Bay, these are the giveaway details. So answer the trivia question on the next slide, and you do so by sending a private Zoom message to Trivia Bot in this format, your answer, your Instagram name, and your Telegram username. This is for our dissemination purposes. Remember that this is not a speed contest. You have 2 minutes to answer, and at the end of each day, we'll pick one lucky winner for each iconic segment, and we'll announce the winner on our various social media channels. So please feel free to do a quick Google search if you need. Yeah, so this is the question. Oh, okay, sorry. This is how you're supposed to send a message to Trivia Bot. So don't put your answer in the main chat where everyone can see. Okay, so for our trivia question, how many super trees are in total? Are there in total in Gardens by the Bay? You can stand a chance to win a blade of your choice from Unihawk or Zone. All the best. Okay, thank you guys so much for sending your answers in. There are actually 18 super trees in the whole of Gardens by the Bay. There are 12 in the Super Tree Grove, which is the main place where the super trees are situated. And there are 3 at the Arrival Square when you first come into Gardens by the Bay, and there are 3 at the Dragonfly Lake. So thank you so much for those who have sent your answers in. We will process them and we'll pick one lucky winner, and we will let you guys know who the winner is. Don't worry if you didn't get the prize this time, because there are still many more segments that we have across the rest of the conference. So now we'll be proceeding to the Coach's Corner by Philip Dahlgren. He'll be going through power play.
Hi, and welcome to the first ever episode of Coach's Corner. This is a new segment where we invite coaches as well as players with pre-recorded clips, and then we can hear their perspective of things. Today, first topic will be power play, and I will discuss it from a coach perspective, and later on we will have some special guests that will do it from a player's perspective. The way we do it now is I will just play the clip straight through so you can watch them in full speed, and then we will replay them again where I will comment a little bit on each thing. And we are going to it now.
Så Nilsson lägger in den i. Då byter Fager ut sina forwards. Nystedt, bra skottläge och han hittar luckan. Det är 5-3. Holmgren, ja. Hedin försökte nog, ville nog Holmgren skulle stå den här passningen för att stoppa ner klubban. Och Åkerlund hittade en riktigt liten lucka.
Och det är 40 sekunder kvar att arbeta på för Dalen här i det numerära överläget. Andersson, oj, han prickar in 3-2 och det är ett iskallt avslut in till ena stolpen. Får se om det står något annat namn där. Jag börjar bli lite misstänksam, men det kanske är rätt. Här kommer 3-3, Hedlund får vara med i powerplay och då tar han vara på den möjligheten sådär. Ja. Andersson, droppa till Andersson. Andersson. Och så, oj, där får han in den från kanten! Oj, vilken prestation utav Brolin Ljung, ja.
Hedlund. Degerin. Andersson trampar in oss. Kristoffer Andersson och ett sånt sanslöst bra skott från Kristoffer Andersson. Och då är det 12 mål på 22 powerplay-försök plötsligt.
Utveckla sig. Då börjar de med de spelarna som blev inbytta i powerplay det första. Kristoffer Andersson.
Stort förtroende från tränarna. Inte så konstigt kanske när Ketil Kronberg saknas. Den går in! Den går i stolpen först, men Jonathan Edling får den i ryggen så den smiter in. Ja, olyckligt.
All right, so that's that. We will re-watch it now, where I will comment a little bit. Firstly, just quick power play. What you need in power play, in my opinion, is good passers and good shooters, of course. But when I talk about a good shooter, it's not the hardest shooting player. It's actually the player that has the quickest shot and the most accuracy. Because if you don't hit the target, it doesn't matter how many times you shoot. So you got to find those kind of players, would be my tip right there. And here we go. First power play. So what we have here is that we have Kristoffer Andersson up here in a position with the ball. Usually he's the playmaker in the power play for Dalen. And he will try to move with the ball and try to find this pass. Now, the reason why this will work is because if you look here, you have 1 player, 2 player, 3 player, 4 players that are completely ball watching. So when that happens, they won't be able to see if he moves a little bit here for that pass. The actual pass itself is not perfect. It's a little bit too much in front, but it also, once again, showcased that if you can hit the target, it can still go in, even if you don't shoot the hardest shot, like this direct shot from this player, which you will see here now.
3 sekunder kvar. Så Nilsson lägger in den i. Då byter Fager ut sina forwards.
All right, so here we go for the next one. Again, the ball comes over to Kristoffer Andersson, who is kind of like the playmaker in the power play. And the difference this time from the last time is that, well, you still have the ball watching. You have 1, 2, 3 in a line, which is usually not very good. And what I mean by a line is like that. That means that 1 pass and all 3 of them kind of is gone. You also have, for some reason, 1, 2, 3 almost marking 2 black players only. Kristoffer will find Victor Nystedt, who is here. Victor Nystedt, who, by the way, I feel is the floorball answer to Paul Coffey. You can look him up. Very fun player to watch. He will find that space, and the space where the pass, of course, is here. So he will find that space. The pass is perfect this time, and he actually shoots a really cool direct drag shot, which is really difficult, but he does it really well, as you can see right now.
Nystedt, bra skottläge och han hittar luckan. Det är 5-3. Holmgren, ja. Hedin försökte nog.
In this one, I basically have this one just to show that everyone knows that Rasmus Andersson, this player, right here has a very, very good shot. In my opinion, maybe one of the best shots in floorball. And it's because it's a drag shot, but it's extremely quick. So when he moves in this direction, he's doing that to see if anyone comes up on him or if he can make a pass to someone. And he decides he could have made passes right here to Victor Nystedt, which probably is the easiest pass, but instead he's going crazy. He will make almost that pass right down here. And it's a really nice shot from this player to be able to get it into the goal. Again, direct shot. If it's not a direct shot, it's no way this is a goal. And you will see it right now.
Ville nog om jag skulle stå den passningen för att stoppa ner klubban. Åkerlund hittar en riktigt liten lucka.
Och det är 40 sekunder.
And here you will see what I just mentioned about Rasmus Andersson. He has such a good shot. So sometimes when you play with a very defensive, passive box, like Fallen is doing right here, what he will do is he will just, he sees this and he will eat space. And sooner or later, he's in a really good position here for his shot. And if you play passive like this, you better make sure that you really do a good blocking. You know, you block the shots, because otherwise it's going to be extremely hard for the goalkeeper to do anything. And you will see what happens here thanks to his really good shot.
Att arbeta på för Dalen här i det numerära överläget. Andersson. Oj, han prickar in 3-2 och det är ett iskallt avslut in till ena stolpen. Får se om det står något annat namn där.
Okay, so next one, again, we're talking Kristoffer Andersson will get the ball. Playmaker. And this time, Fallen is actually playing with a little bit higher with their top guy here, as you can see. When you play high with one player, it opens up space in between. What will happen here is a perfect example of that. You will see this perfect pass straight through here and to Alexander Hedlund. Alexander Hedlund, who has an incredible wrist shot and drag shot. He's like a goal scorer. Like I would compare him to like Ruud van Nistelrooy in football, just a lot smarter. He's going to be a doctor too. The pass is perfect and it's a perfect direct shot.
Hi guys, so I'm gonna go through my thoughts in this power play when I find the cross pass to Alexander Hedlund. So we have played for a little more than 1 minute and we haven't created any scoring chances in this power play, and we're down 1 goal with about 30 seconds to the period end. And so I want to create some situations here, and as soon as I get the ball from our point, I try to make a threat and try to move 1-2 meters to the center. And as you can see, all the Fallen players, their eyes are on me, so they aren't watching any of my teammates. And because of that, I can look up and I can see that their left forward is a little too high. So as I take a step into the center, Alexander Hedlund, he is moving a step down. So we are creating a gap. And as we are doing that, I try to fake a pass to our point so that he thinks I'm gonna pass the point, and he moves just a little bit towards our point, which makes the cross pass to Alexander completely open, and we can get the open goal because of it.
As you will see here now.
Jag blir lite misstänksam, men det kanske är rätt. Här kommer 3-3. Hedlund får vara med i powerplay och då tar han vara på den möjligheten sådär. Ja.
Here,
Andersson.
I want to showcase this just quickly without actually drawing anything. I just want you to see that sometimes what you can do, this is at the end of a power play, And when things don't go maybe the way you want it, you can always just have a little bit of position changes, might confuse the other team. What happened here is that Christopher Andersson, the tall 71 there, goes over on the other side. And then he makes a really good pass over to, and an incredible shot, actually, a direct shot. Again, when you have players like this, it makes it a lot easier to have good power play. You can see the direct shot here now.
Till Andersson. Andersson. Oj, där får han in den från kanten! Oj, vilken prestation utav Brolin Ljung. Ja.
Hedlund.
This one showcase a little bit more how versatile Kristoffer Andersson is. This guy he looks like a basketball player, right? He's super tall, but he's fast and he has incredible skills. I would compare him to like a Mario Lemieux. I don't know if you know who that is. I was going to say Mats Sundin, but he's got better hands than Mats Sundin. So I'll say Mario Lemieux again, and you can look that guy up too if you don't know who it is. The pass comes to him, and what he's going to do, because it's a low box, he's just going to take off in here with speed. And he's basically telling them, he's giving them a challenge. Okay, are you going to step up on me? If you don't, I'm going to shoot. If you step up, I'm probably going to pass to someone. So it's like pick your poison. And well, you see what happens that when he shoots from there, good luck trying to save that shot, as you will see here now.
Degeryd. Andersson trampar in och Kristoffer Andersson och ett sånt sanslöst bra skott från Kristoffer Andersson, och då är det 12 mål på 22 powerplay-försök plötsligt.
Utveckla sig, då börjar de med de spelarna.
Now this one, the reason, this is a mirror image of the other passes straight through, and I wanted to showcase that you can actually do it on both sides, of course, if you have players that shoot the proper way. What I mean by that is that Kristoffer Andersson here, 71, is a righty. So when this pass comes through here, he can shoot direct. With ball watches, again on the box play here. So when that pass goes through, there's basically nothing they can do. You will see the defender here trying to like do a automatic going down to try to block it, but there's no way, no chance whatsoever to stop this from going into the goal, as you will see right now.
Inbytta i powerplay det första. Spring! Kristoffer Andersson!
Stort förtroende från tränarna.
Now, the last one. The reason why I have this one here is basically I just wanted you to, again, showcase that sometimes you don't have to complicate things. When you have someone that has an incredible shot, all you have to do is just take the shot. And that's what Rasmus Andersson, again, does with his drag shot. You will see it here.
Inte så konstigt kanske när Ketil Kronberg saknas. Den går in! Den går i stolpen först, men Jonathan Edling får den i ryggen så den sliter in. Ja, olyckligt.
And that is Coach's Corner from a coach perspective power play. And now I will hand it over to the boys, and I can't wait to see what they say. See you.
Hello guys, I will give you some general thoughts of playing power play and what I like to think about. And the first part is that, as you can see in a lot of the clips, when we manage to find a pass that cuts through the box and with a direct shot, that's usually a goal. And so let's say that the point player in the power play has the ball and he passes to one of the sides, the box will usually be in position and can easily block that shot. So a long pass that goes through the box is key, and also just good movement with the ball and good quality in the passing helps a lot. And some final thoughts is that I like to think that you don't have to move that much when you play power play, but if you move just a few steps, or maybe if the defender, if you see that he will be able to block the shot, maybe move 2 steps to one side or another, then it might open up and the defender might miss the opportunity to block the shot instead. So yeah, that's my thoughts on how to play power play.
Okay, so we have come to the end of our Coach's Corner. This is actually a new segment that we added in, and this is just a nice bite-sized segment suitable for both players and coaches. That's why it's strategically placed in between the coaching conference and the player development camp. So now we will be moving on to the player development camp. And today we'll be covering the fundamentals of dribbling, ball control, and shielding. Today's session might be a bit dry but we believe that basics are a very important foundation to allow you to reach greater heights in floorball. So first, we'll wait for a while for the others to stream in because there are still some that are not in yet, and we'll start probably at 6:15. Once again, this is our player development camp, and we'll be beginning now with a short video from our partners, Singapore Tourism Board, and subsequently we will be streaming a video with an interview that I held with one of our instructors, Alexander Hedlund, and he'll be sharing more about himself. And after that, we'll just dive straight into the player development camp.
Come on, let's play. Ain't nothing gonna hold us down. Ain't no stopping us now. We got the keys, we're running this town. Come on, let's play.
Hello, Alexander, and thank you so much for doing the player development camp for 2020 virtual in December and in Singapore for our next SG Open. So this year has really kicked off for you after you came back from an injury. Lately, you have been scoring many points. Can you tell us more about how this season has been for you?
Yeah, I missed the start of the season, so I think I missed like the first 5 games or so, and since then I think it's been going just upwards, and I'm feeling better each day, and yeah, my line has been playing really good since I came back, so yeah, I'm feeling good.
Glad to know that you have recovered from your injury. I'm so happy to hear that you are able to start training with your team again. So you are known as one of the best and smartest two-way players with one of the best analytic minds in SSL. Can you tell us more about your playing style?
My playing style is that I try to use my speed and my physicality with also being quite good at passing and shooting, and I always try to study the opponents so I know what they want to do, so I can know what I want to do on the court, and I try to talk to my teammates so that we can get some solutions and where we want to put the ball and to create as much chances as possible.
Thank you so much for sharing your tips with us. I'm sure many of us can apply this to our gameplay. You're also studying medicine in university to become a doctor. Can you tell us how you managed to combine one of the most demanding university degrees in Sweden and also playing on the very elite level in floorball in the best league in the world?
Yeah, I think it comes down to just eating well, getting enough sleep, so I have enough energy to manage school and floorball, and I think that I'm okay with not having as much time to do some things that others can. Maybe hanging out with friends and all of that. I can do it, but not as much as maybe I would like to. But I'm yeah, okay with that.
I think many of us Singaporeans can relate to your experience of balancing studies and floorball, as it is a common issue that many of us face here, and the point you made about prioritizing makes a lot of sense. So as you know, I will be speaking to Christopher Anderson, your teammate, and you have been playing with him for a while now. How will you describe him as a person and a player?
Yeah, I think we played almost the whole season last year together, so we kind of got some chemistry last year, and now we have been playing this year since I came back together, and it's been going well. And him as a player, he's as you would see if you watch him play, he's always got his eyes on where he can pass the ball, and if there is an open pass, he will find it, and if you find him with a pass, he will most of the time score. He's got good efficiency with his shooting, and just easy to play with.
Såg man igår. Vad kan hända? Här kommer Andersson till Hedlund. Det är så svag passning från Andersson. Här får han chansen ändå. Då gör han sitt hattrick. Kristoffer Andersson.
Fabian får inte riktigt tag i den.
Kristoffer Andersson krigar fram den. Vad hittar Dalen på här? Andersson! Han gör mål! Kristoffer Andersson gör...
And as a person, he's just a fun guy to be around, and always comes in happy and excited to play floorball. So yeah, good guy.
It sounds like you guys have a really close relationship. You play with Unihawk as well, so can you tell me more about your stick and what you like about it?
I've been playing with Unihawk almost every season. I think I played with Zone maybe 1 or 2 seasons, but I like that the shaft is light, and I use the Player Plus blade with not too much hook on it, so I think that I can shoot and pass quite good. I like being able to do both those things, and it's a good stick.
What are some tips that you can give us participants to improve with our gameplay, something that we can work on and apply in the following SG Open when it happens?
I always watch my own games, so when I play a game, then I will watch it and I'll analyze it, so I'm quite used to just analyzing floorball, I guess, and I always watch a lot of floorball, so when other teams are playing, I try to watch some guys that I like watching and study what they do and what I can do with my own game to improve. And I think the just attention to details is something that I'm quite good at, so hopefully that.
I understand that you were here for last year's SG Open. So what was your favorite place to hang out in Singapore?
I went with the guys that went, I think it was 2019, and I enjoyed being in Sentosa Island, and just because we don't get a lot of sun up here in the north of Sweden, so I look forward to just laying at the beach and getting sun and hanging out with all the guys.
Thank you so much for your time, Alexander. See you during our virtual camp. Bye!
Hi, I'm Philip.
Hi, I'm Tristan and I'm from Dallen Moose.
And we are 2 of the players that will be helping out during the player development camp. And we are really excited to try to help, and we will start the course now. So we will start by going through basic dribbles. The main objective with this drill is to do everything properly from the beginning. So one thing is to try to have as much as possible a straight arm, and almost hold the stick like a hammer. One good thing to look at is that if you become a little bit too much of that when you dribble, that probably means that your stick might be a little bit too long. So that's something to try to maybe remember if you feel that happens a lot. What we're going to work on today is basic dribbles, dribbling back and forehand, and then moving into longer dribbles. That means outside. Please bear in mind that what we're working on is trying to have, for this one, is to have two hands on the stick constantly, not go out with one hand yet, even though that makes you get further away. And we will work on that later on. But for now, it is basically just doing dribbles like this, trying to control it. Later on, we will try to go into perhaps doing it a little bit faster. So you dribble fast, like Tristan is doing now, and then coming outside, 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 outside. We will incorporate a few other things as well, and we will start now.
Okay. Try to use the back to the middle of the blade when you are dribbling, and try not to use the top because the ball will just roll away.
Hello guys, and welcome to Umeå and IBK Dalen. Today we will show you a bunch of clips with some individual things that hopefully you will get to use and practice at home. And some things that we do with the team, and just some things that you can have fun with and also get better at floorball in the same time.
Alltså vad fan!
Like you see in those two different exercises, is that it doesn't really matter how you build a course. It could be like an easy course or a more advanced course, but the thing you need to focus on is if you want to like improve something, if you feel like, okay, I'm bad going backwards with the ball, or like having control far away from the body or something. So just make sure that you know when you get into the exercise, that you know if you want to be better at something that you need to work on, or it's just an obstacle to have more fun. So if like something you're good at, so that's our tip.
Okay, another very important part in floorball that is sometimes neglected is shielding the ball. When you're moving, just like we saw on the basic dribbles, where we started to add in things where you move a lot, because all these kind of movement is really, really good to kind of trick the opponent that is coming to pressure you. Another way is that when you have an opponent very close to you, you got to be able to shield the ball for a split second, or sometimes even longer. And the way to do that would be, if my opponent is on this side, I can go and shield the ball this way. And what I'm trying to do is, the reason why I put my leg here is that he's coming on this side to try to win the ball. By doing that, I'm kind of stopping that from happening with the leg. He cannot go through here, so I don't have to worry about that in this situation. Now, the reason why I come in out here is that I can still control the ball in a normal position, and I am with my feet in a position that when he overcommits, if he commits over on this side, I just turn that way. Same thing, if he commits on the other side, I just go that way. So it's a way to prevent, when you're not sure what to do with the ball, or you're in attack, it's really good to be able to shield. Now, some players are really skillful at, when they shield the ball, they come like this when you come in, and then they use one hand here. The reason why you have the hand like this is that now it's even harder for him to reach that ball. Now, there might be another opponent coming, so you got to be prepared for that. But in this situation, basically impossible for him to reach the ball. So he most probably is going to come on the other side, and I will run this way. Or, again, if he comes over on this side, boom, I will just turn that. Now, this is really, really good, and you can come down low and use your butt. If you have a big butt, like I do, it's even better. But using the butt, coming down with low balance is the key. Even if he pushes me a little bit now, I am in control. And when he commits, boom, I explode it, and then I move away. So this is something we will practice now, just moving to the side. And sometimes it can be like this, that he comes over on this side, I go this way, and then now he continues. He press it, press. And I continue. See? So that is the first drill we're going to do now. We're going to simulate it slow, and then we're going to add an opponent into the drill. Tristan, you show it slow.
Hjärta som klappar lite extra för Dalen. Här kommer ett skott en bit över ribban. Dalen som just nu är inne med första formationen. Vi kan väl repetera lite då. Rasmus Andersson, Viktor Nystedt backar. Anton Åkerlund, Linus Holmgren och Jakob Bina. Lite mer offensiva pjäser i detta Dalen som nu försöker trycka på med en press och vinna bollen högt. Wettergren spelar bollen egen burgavel. Men så här långt så håller han undan och löser det här på ett bra sätt.
Lund. Landström trampar runt hela vägen och får hjälp av Åkerlund bakom mål. Men väljer att hålla i den istället och får frisparkslaget med. Spelar man igång snabbt.
Många spelare högt upp så blir det en 2 mot 1 som inte blev riktigt skarp, men den fanns ju där ändå. Här är det Rud som snurrar runt. Backby och Wettergren som ju är duktig på att skjuta. Rud igen. Och det är ju en ny generation.
Torvild. Palmén. Domberg går förbi, spelar in den. Passningen studsar till lite grann. Då kan man vända åt andra hållet istället. Kommer äget. Räddningen ifrån Tjärnberg är bra.
Centralt på egen planhalva. Lundmark får med sig bollen både med klubba och fötter. Ja, Lundmark gör det där bra. Smiter förbi som en liten iller vid sargen. Och här kanske bra. Han visar lite av sin storhet, Lundmark.
Ja.
Håller i och täcker bollen. Mycket bra.
Och är ju väldigt snabb de första.
Det är fler än det. Här är Rasmus Andersson som skjuter. Malmgren. Ja, bra gjort Malmgren. Som löser den situationen. Sen lyfter han
som stör Falun, det är tydligt. Falun har inte samma enkelhet att hitta pressen som Dalen sätter nu också.
Det är en landslagsmålvakt mål på andra sidan, men skjuter man inte så kan man inte överlista en division 3 målvakt heller, så att ja, man måste börja skjuta. försöka sätta lite press på Parsjöting ner. Här är Söderling som gör det där fint. Testar just avslutet. Graf skjuter! Ja.
Kommer Nystedt. Ut med bollen till målskytt Åkerlund. Bina får rakt in i sargen och här ges Dalen möjlighet igen då med
Sund. Mycket yta här då när han inte riktigt vänder om, men han gör det där och tar sig runt dessutom. Men har inte mycket alternativ att spela bollen till. Här får man i alla fall läget. Ja, det är inte alls långt ifrån Andreas Lundell som försöker vända sig om och skicka iväg.
Hi guys, thank you for watching and hope you learned something that you will bring into your game, and see you all tomorrow.
Hi everyone, so hope you guys enjoyed that video. Now we have Alexander Headland with us and he will be taking some Q&A. So once again, you guys, if you are shy, you can send it to question bot anonymously, and if not, you can just send it to the main chat. After this, we'll be having another Iconic Singapore giveaway, so stay tuned for that. Alexander, please.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you hear me?
Yeah, sorry. Hi.
Hi. Now. Hello, everyone in the Zoom meeting as well. I don't see your faces, but it will feel like I'm just talking to you, Casta, but yeah, we'll make it work. I thought I might just add something to the part about shielding the ball, and I think Philip and Tristan did. Yeah, they had some super good tips, and so use those tips. And I thought I might just add some things that you can think about maybe. So if I have the ball, let's say, and the defender, in the SSL they don't make it too easy on you. So if I'm shielding the ball, they might tap me on my elbow or something like in my back to get me off balance. So it's a lot of stuff that the defenders do that can make it hard for you, but just in general try to not be standing completely still and always move with the ball. So if you stand still, they will eat you up kind of easy. So yeah, that's, and don't shielding the ball might not seem like a fun practice to do, but it's super important. So I think you should practice those kind of things as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your comments. We have our first question in. Okay, so how does good ball control affect the rest of the game for you?
It affects everything. Because if you can't control the ball, you can't make good passes or, get to opportunities to score the goal. So you need to have a good ball control if you want to be a good floorball player, I would say.
Okay, the next question we have for you is, okay, Ogola from Kenya has asked, so what is your advice on stick selection? Do you prefer personally more flex or less flex?
I think it depends on your own weight and what type of player that you are. So we have some defenders in my team that shoots a lot of slap shots. They might choose the 24 flex. I personally play with the 26 because I feel like that's a good balance between hard and soft. 29 is kind of soft for me, but I know a lot of players like Emil Johansson in Falun. He plays with 29 on the flex, I think. So it's just make it work for you and be comfortable with the flex that you choose.
Thank you so much. Our next question is, how wide apart should your feet be when getting pressed in a 1v1 situation? So I assume that you're pressed against like maybe the bots and then you're trying to shield. So how would you do that?
Yeah, like Philip mentioned, like since you can't put the stick between the legs, you should have kind of a wide stance, but you don't want to get too wide because then you will lose the opportunity to move with the ball. I think you always have to be able to come out of the situation as well. You don't want to, as I talked about, you don't want to stand completely still. So if you just stand wide with the legs and don't move, that won't work most of the time. So yeah, it also depends, but not too wide, but you still wanna get good balance and be pretty wide, I would say.
Okay, so we have a very personal next question from one of our players. He or she asked if you are single.
Complicated, I would say. Just short answer.
Okay. Our next legit question is, when defending around the bots, should you try to win the 1v1 or pass to someone open immediately instead?
If you have a pass to make, you should make it. Just shielding the ball should always be your last way out, I would say. You don't want to shield the ball if someone else has space and can make something happen with the ball. So I always try to not shield the ball if I don't have to. If I have space and the defender is maybe 2 meters away, I would turn to get my eyes up on the field and not shield the ball unnecessary. Yeah.
Okay, so someone asked, how do you defend in a 1v1 situation? It's quite a general question, but how would you approach it?
In our team, we talk a lot about getting to a distance to the guy with the ball that you are comfortable with defending. So you want to get as close as possible, but you don't want to get beaten in the 1v1. So it all depends on the player you play against and what you feel for yourself. If you're good at defending 1v1, then you might want to come really close. But yeah, like Philip and Tristan show you, it's just a lot of aspects to it, but yeah, maintaining as close distance as you can, as long as you can, and not get beaten, I would say.
Another personal question is, when did you realize for the first time that you could make it to SSL?
I played in the Division 1 here in Sweden, which is the third highest division, and I had a couple of seasons that I made a lot of points, and so yeah, that was kind of when I felt like I could play in this SSL, but you never know. But that's a a good sign, I would say. Yeah.
That's great to hear. So how long have you been playing SSL and what is your best experience so far?
I have played, this is my 4th season now, so a couple of seasons now, but best experience is hard to say, but maybe when we got to the semifinals in the playoffs, and yeah, yes, the playing in the playoffs is a lot of fun here in Sweden. So yeah, that's my answer.
We got another question, which is, what is your long-term goal for floorball? What's your ultimate aim?
Long-term goal is to win the national championship with Dalen, and also to win the world championship with Sweden.